Hello friends, this is Dr. Shashi Agarwal. I welcome you all. Today we are going to understand a very important topic. What do you mean by demand? Explain the law of demand. This topic is relevant for the student of MBA, MCOM, BBA and BCom. If you find my video useful, please do like it, share it and also subscribe my channel Shashi Agarwal Economics and Law Classes. This is my app, Adusum app, which you could download from Google Play Store. It provides free study material to the student of commerce, economics, and management. Also offers structured courses economics, microeconomics, managerial economics, principles of economics, and business economics. First of all, we will understand what is the meaning of demand because the question has two parts. What do you mean by demand? First of all, we will understand what is the meaning of demand. In ordinary language, there is no difference between desire, want, and demand. But when we talk about desire, want, and demand in economics, it certainly has different. Desire means wishful thinking, like I want to go for a Europe trip, but I don't have the resources. So this is just a desire, wishful thinking. Want is that desire which is backed by ability but not willingness to satisfy that desire. Like I want to buy a bike for rupees 50,000. I have 50,000 but I'm not willing to spend on that amount on bike. Demand, when there is a desire for a commodity, I have a desire for a bike. I have sufficient amount to buy that bike. I am ready to spend that amount on bike. This is called demand. Whenever we talk about demand, demand is always associated with price and demand is always associated with time. So desire is mere wish to have a commodity. We do not have the ability or willingness. But want is a desire which is backed by the ability, but we are not willing. Demand, where the desire is backed by the ability, and we have the desire, we have the ability, we are ready to spend that money on to satisfy that desire. So these are the elements of the demand. We should have the desire for a thing. We should have the money to satisfy that desire. We should be ready to spend that money on that for the satisfaction of that desire. And whenever we talk about demand, it is always associated with price. It is also associated with time. At the given time, at this price, be the quantity. At this price, it has so much demand. Demand for a commodity should be expressed as a rate at which certain quantity is demanded per unit of time at a particular price. Demand is a flow activity. Demand refers to the quantity of a commodity that the consumer are able and willing to buy at each possible price during a given period of time. Other things being equal, there is no change in other factors like the income, taste, and expectation, etc. Demand is of three types: price demand, income demand, and cross demand. Price demand expresses the relationship between the price of good and demand, being other things remaining the same. There is no change in other determinants like the income, related goods, expectation, taste, etc. So here the demand is influenced by the price of its own good. So there is an inverse relation between the price and demand. As the price rise, demand falls. If the price of good falls, the demand extends. Income is a function, demand is a function of income. Here in the case of normal goods, demand and income, they are positively related. If income rises, the demand also rises. If income falls, demand also falls. But in case of inferior goods, the income effect is negative. Uh, and the cross demand, demand of X is a function of price of Y. Other things being constant, cross demand expresses the relationship demand for good X due to change in the price of Y. So when we have to write the law of demand, first of all we will provide the general meaning to the law of demand, then it's the definition, then assumption, then the explanation, individual and market demand, then the exception. So law of demand states other things being equal, they are very important. We should not we should mention it. while explaining the law of demand, other things being equal means there is no change in other determinants of the demand. So demand for good extend with a fall in price and contract with a rise in price. If the price rises, then the demand falls. If the price falls, demand extends. So price and demand, they are inverse relation. Price falls, demand extends. Price rise, demands contracts. Definition of the law of demand. According to Marshall, the law of demand states the amount demanded increases with falling the price and diminishes with the rising the price, being other things remaining the same. According to Samuelson, law of demand states that people will buy more at low prices, buy less at high prices, and other things remaining the same. So these are the main characteristics of the law of demand. There is the inverse relation between the price and demand. If the price rise, demand falls. If the price falls, demand rise, and other things remaining the same. Price is an independent variable. Demand is dependent upon price. Other things remaining same. There is no change in other determinants like income, taste, habits, expectation, etc. Price of related goods. So there we are measuring the change only due to the price of that commodity. The law of demand is a qualitative statement. It only tells us the direction. If the price goes downward, demand goes upward. If the price goes upward, the demand goes downward. It only tells us the direction. So these are the assumptions of the law of goods. Demand is a function of price of X, price of that commodity, PR, that is the related good, income, Y is the income, T is taste, A is the expectation. So there is a bar on these things, price of related goods, income, taste and expectation, they remain constant. So there should be no change in the income of the consumer, no change in the price of related goods, substitute goods, complementary goods. There is no expectation of any rise or fall in the price in the future. There is no change in the taste and preferences, and the goods, they are normal goods. Now there is explanation of the law of demand. Demand schedule is a table showing different quantities of a commodity that is to be purchased at different prices of that commodity in a given time. So we could explain the demand schedule in two ways: individual demand schedule and the market demand schedule. Individual demand schedule is related to one individual. So these are the given prices at which these are. So individual demand schedule shows the demand of one person at different prices during that period. As we clearly see from this table, as the price goes on falling 4, 3, 2, 1, the demand goes on increasing 1, 2, 3, 4. As the price goes on falling, demand goes on increasing. Other things remaining the same. Price and demand, they are inverse relation. Now we will draw a graph on this table. Here we are taking the quantity, here we are taking the price. So at 4, when the price is 4, the demand is 1. When the 3, the demand is 2. When there's price is 2. So we see as the price is falling, the demand goes on increasing, other things remaining the same. And this is the DD demand curve of individual demand curve, particular individual. So DD curve slopes downward, which indicates there is an inverse relation between the price and the quantity demanded. Market demand schedule and demand curve represents the demand for a commodity by all the consumers in the market. It shows the different quantities of a commodity which the consumers in the market intend to buy at different possible price. Here we are assuming for the sake of convenience there are two consumers A and B in the market. So it is the price. This is the quantity demanded by A consumer. This is the quantity demanded by the B consumer. So here we see as the price goes on increasing, demand goes on reducing, demand goes on diminishing. So we will add to know the market demand curve. At rupee 1, the demand is 9. At rupee 2, the demand is 7. At the rupee 3, demand is 5. At the rupee 4, it is the 3. So market demand curve also shows there is inverse relation between the price and demand as other things remaining the same. Then we will draw the graph. यहाँ पे on y-axis we will write the quantity and here the price. This is the demand curve of A. This is the demand curve of B. Quantity and price. Quantity and price. So here we will draw the demand of A on the basis of table. So this is the demand curve of A consumer. This is the demand curve of B consumer. On the market demand at the 4, the demand is 3. At 3, the demand is 5. At the 2, demand is 7. And at the when the price falls to 1, the demand is 9. So here the market demand curve. It also slopes downward, which indicates there is an inverse relation between the demand and price. Now we will understand exceptions. Exception refer to those rare situations where the law of demand fails even when assumption of the law are maintained. When law of demand fails, the demand curve does not slope downward, instead it slopes upward. If the price is P1, then the demand is Q1. If the price rises to P2, the demand also rises to Q2. Here the shape of the demand curve is positively sloping. It is upward sloping. Demand curve has positive slope. In the case of article of distinction or Veblen goods, Veblen goods are those articles of distinction or luxury goods which are demanded by the higher class. Higher class will purchase these goods when the price is high. When the price is low, they will not buy. And sometimes there is irrational judgment when the consumer is haunted by the phobia that high price goods they are always better in quality. So he will buy when the price is high and he will buy less when the price is low because he will associate the low price to the quality of the product. Giffen goods are those inferior goods which are consumed by the poor. Then when their price falls, so their purchasing power in real terms increases, so they will not buy the inferior goods. And when their price rise, they will demand more. So in case of given goods, price and demand, they are positively related to each other.